Friends and folks, welcome back to the Kaiju Lounge, your home for humor, opinions, and nerd shit. And last week, well, let me pop into this thing correctly here. There we go. Last week, NetherRealm Studios dropped some heavy hitting trailers. We saw the upcoming Jean-Claude Van Damme skin for Johnny Cage already, and yet another pull from the 3D era of Mortal Kombat, Nitara, the vampiric warrior who will be voiced by none other than Megan Fox. This is honestly a perfect fit, as Megan is no stranger to dark source material and is used to holding a gaunt, soulless corpse in her arms. But the inclusion of these somewhat forgotten characters shows how ripe Mortal Kombat's lore is for the picking. At this point, the roster has been leaked, so we have a good idea who's in the latest blood splattering entry. But that's not going to stop us from putting together our list, the top 5 3D era combatants we'd like to see in Mortal Kombat. Starting with number 5. You know how every Street Fighter game tries to convince us that this version has a new hero? Like in 3, they said the main character was Alex, then in 4, they thought it would be Abel. Supposedly it was then Rashid in Street Fighter 5, and now it's Luke. But honestly, everyone just kind of says, fuck you, Capcom, it's Rio, we don't care what you say. Well, NetherRealm was actually able to pull it off. For years, Liu Kang was the lead of the original timeline before getting Ned Starked by the combined forces of Shang Tsung and Quan Chi. With this occupancy in the story vacated, enter Taven, the half-god and hero of Mortal Kombat Armageddon's Conquest mode. Basically, in-game, Taven is awakened by a dragon to work with his brother and defeat Blaze, but his brother woke up early and killed their parents so that they can be the ultimate power. So now the game has to shoehorn a story together so Taven has a reason to interact with every character in the roster. Honestly, it doesn't matter because the whole thing is now getting Star Wars Legends treatment because Warner Brother also owns DC, which means you have to reset the universe every 6 years. Point is, for a brief time, Taven was it. And if you're going to start bringing back characters from the 3D era, it's not a bad idea to start with the most important one. Should be easy too. Taven has major ties to Edenia, where a lot of the game seems to take place, is supposedly Rain's half-brother, and he's already in the game, and has ties to the dragons themselves, which are apparently huge plot MacGuffins I've never really understood. Seems like a clear win, and honestly saves Ed Boon the trouble of trying to redesign another ninja in a way so we can finally tell them apart. Number 4. Goro. Kintaro. Motaro. Mortal Kombat is not one to shy away from large characters. However, allegedly, the largest character in Mortal Kombat was none other than Moloch. When not hunched over like me after 2 hours of playing with my son, Moloch stands at an impressive 16 feet tall and looks more like a concept art for a Killer Instinct character. NetherRealms used him as a sub-boss initially, but has since demoted him to Easter egg status, where it seemingly he regularly met his end at some random fate. Here is the honest truth that nobody really wants to hear. Mortal Kombat games were never that good. They were cool, and the whole fatality thing captured a generation the same way that Crotch Chops, South Park, and Jerry Springer did. But the mechanics were simple at best and clunky at worst, something the recent MK games have fully turned around. Now each character feels different beyond their specials and fatalities. Combos, chains, unique mechanics. Mortal Kombat is a well thought out entry in the fighting game community's arsenal. With changes like these, I would like to see how they handle a true juggernaut character. Someone with the size and power equivalent to Abigail from Street Fighter or Aghanos from Killer Instinct. Let's give Moloch the glow up he deserves. And as a side note, can we not add his buddy Draman? He looks like a cross between Voldo and a Slim Jim. Just gives me the creeps. Number 3. You know what Mortal Kombat 1 is missing that the previous entries had? Normal ass dudes. Like for every Baraka and Noob Saibot, there was a Sonya or a pre-cybernetic Jax in spandex. Sure, MK1 has Johnny Cage, but at this point, he's so important that his absinthe ruins the entire movie. Gone are the days where everyone has a magic power, but Stryker has a gun. My solution? Bring back Cobra. Cobra is to Ken Masters what Dan Hibiki is to Ryo Sakazaki. And that's not even really a joke. He was called Ken in development builds due to his resemblance. Sure, he looks like a random Double Dragon enemy, but apparently his backstory says he's a street brawler who was infamous for his brutality and savage killings. This guy, this psychopath, goes around murdering people in the streets dressed like a WMAC Masters character. How are you not leaning into this? Bring him back in the new canon and have him be a serial killer that runs a after-school dojo by day. Make him Johnny Lawrence on bath salts. Give him an American flag headband and Zubaz pants who can be voiced by Diedrich Bader. Also, as a side note, while Liu Kang is bringing everyone back in this new era, can he also bring back the letter C? I'm tired of seeing Cobra spelled with a K. It's stupid. Number 2. No, not him. Yes, him. Bring back Meat. I think it'd be funny. And number 1, here's the truth. My interest in putting this video together was more about resurrecting the dregs of the Mortal Kombat 3D era and less about who was cool that we haven't seen in a while, because truth is, Mortal Kombat will already be bringing back the best this era had to offer. So, when it comes to redemption, I truly think no one needs it more than Su Hao. Look at this guy. He takes everything that made Kano cool, removes his personality, shifts his laser 2 feet south, and paints him green. Even his creators hated him. They tried to make his death in the earlier games canonical so they wouldn't have to bring him back, yet they reluctantly did so for Mortal Kombat Armageddon anyway. He's like the third cousin nobody knows but you invite to Thanksgiving because he lives too close not to. I literally did a search for least favorite MK characters, and he was the only one who consistently showed up on every list. So honestly, I want to see NetherRealm bring him back because I'm just morbidly curious. This guy is basically a blank slate. Change whatever you want. No one in the community is going to care. You want to remove his chest later? Sure. Change his hat? Why not? Make him a normal skin tone? Yes, please. No one's going to stop you. You have carte blanche to make one of the least liked characters in your series into whatever you want because the community is not going to care that he isn't accurate to his original form. Because here's the truth. People remember your victories, but they'll forget your mistakes. Except for Mortal Kombat Mythologies. That was trash, and I personally cannot forgive it. Those are our top 5 3D era Mortal Kombat characters that we'd like to see back in Mortal Kombat. If you have any that's a better fit, drop them in the comments, or hell, tell me in the chat right now. We'll talk about them in the moment. Otherwise, stick around, because after this break, we are going to go ahead and jump into our gameplay portion of the evening. Guys, I'm hopping in. There was a couple different games released for the Nintendo Switch Classic. A bunch of Japanese original games I don't think I ever saw the light of day in the US, and I'm going to attempt to stumble my way through most of them. So hang out. Let's get into this. Let's see how weird these games get. We'll be back in a little bit.